Alan Bond, one of the great names of Australian corporate history during the 1980s. He returned to Perth early this week. It was for scheduled open heart surgery. It turned out to be a triple heart bypass. There's reportedly been complications to the bypass. And currently he's in a critical condition. His family has gathered around him in Perth. And I know that his ex-wife, Eileen Bond, is currently making plans to get back to Australia from the UK, where she is at the moment. Interestingly, Eileen and Alan, who were married for nearly 40 years before they eventually divorced in the early 1990s, remained on pretty good terms. She had dinner with Alan only last week in London, where they had discussed the prospect of having this open heart surgery. She said at the time that Alan knew that he had to come back to Perth to do it. However, he was very confident that it would all go very well. Sadly, that has not been the case. We understand that his situation is pretty bad at the moment. He's currently in intensive care, and we believe he's still unconscious and hasn't regained consciousness since the surgery, which I understand took place yesterday. Alan Bond remains one of the more interesting characters of Australian corporate history. He was the man that bankrolled the Australia 2 Challenge, the America's Cup, which saw the New York Yacht Club lose the America's Cup for the first time in nearly 150 years. So it was history-making stuff back in the 1980s. Alan's corporate life obviously went into a great demise towards the late 1980s. He was the central character in one of the greatest corporate collapses in Australian history at the time. He ended up becoming bankrupt. He had to serve time behind bars, something like 4 years. Throughout it all, he has remained one of the more colourful characters of modern Australian history.